I guess one of the best advice that I got regarding the holidays was funny enough, splurge on, eat as much as you can, enjoy yourself, and don't worry about the diet. It's a bit counterintuitive. I wouldn't say it's the best type of approach for everybody, at least not most of the time, but it's definitely a spectrum where when it comes to the holidays, and it doesn't have to be just Christmas, it could be Thanksgiving, it could be any time you're away and you're a little bit more relaxed and you want to enjoy yourself and there's some celebration going on, there's going to be some extra food, and essentially you have to choose between staying true to the diet or to your eating strategy and at the same time having fun. It is a spectrum, but at the end of the day, unless you're on a month-long vacation or a honeymoon or something crazy like this, a couple of days, they're not going to make a big difference. It's very, very hard for you to do any real damage if you're talking about just 2, 3, 4 days, maybe. If you even if you're being realistic, there's a limit to how much food you can consume and to what you can do in terms of drinks and your how active you are in a span of 24 hours, 48 hours, and so on. I mean, there's just a limit to how much food you can fit in your belly. So the point I'm trying to make here is that the holidays are not that special because, in a sense, on the grand scheme of things, it's just a couple of days. And if you've been doing a good job the rest of the month, the rest of the year, and we have, what's this, like 300, I forgot, 352 days? We got 12 months. And out of those 12 months, if you're doing a good job most of the time and you have like 1 month total, holiday celebrations and so on and traveling, where you didn't do as much of a good job, it's really not going to make that much of a difference. The impact of a month versus 11 months of going great with your diet, it's going to be insignificant in a way. So this is the first and main point I want to do there. And you shouldn't be feeling bad as the holidays, obviously, because you're on this program. You want to make sure that at least you're not doing too much damage. And when you think about holidays, and this is something that I've talked about before, think of this spectrum. And on one end, you have a lot of fun, a lot of food, drinks, maybe like bad habits, and just stuff that's not going to comply with your current goal. And on the other end of the spectrum, you're being super rigid and you're staying true to the diet and true what you've been doing so far. So on that spectrum, you want to find where you want to be and what's going to make the most sense for you. You can be dead in the middle where you haven't completely given up on the diet, so you're still having some structure there, but at the same time, you haven't given up on fun and enjoying the holidays and having some good time with your friends and family. So where on that spectrum you are, it is up to for you to decide. And you want to be you could swing more in one direction or the other direction, as long as we realize that regardless of which way you're going to be making some trade-offs in the opposite direction. For example, if you want to be still hitting the same calories, macros, tracking food in MyFitnessPal, doing the workouts, that's probably going to be a bit hard depending where you are and what's the gym schedule and whether you're going to be working around the holidays. But let's assume you want to be perfect in terms of fitness. Well, it's going to be a bit of a bummer for your friends and family, and they're probably not going to have some fun. You're probably not going to have some fun. So there's going to be a trade-off, a decision to be made. And this is the very first thing you want to realize: how much and in which direction you want to swing and what you're willing to give up, understanding that there is going to be a bit of a sacrifice and there's going to be a price to pay if you're swinging more in either direction. And this is fine. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's good. It is what it is. I make those choices myself. I'm also thinking about, I've been talking to my wife and she told me, you know what, we're going to be doing this on the 24th. We're going to be doing this on the 25th. We're going to be doing this on the 26th. And I'm like, stop. That's a lot of things in different situations. I'm not going to have that much control. So obviously, I'm thinking, okay, there's going to be other people there. I still want to, I don't really care about the food. So I'm going to be honest. I'm not a foodie, so I don't care about the food, but still want to be respectful to other people on the table. So I'm planning ahead and realizing, okay, I'm probably not going to do ideally in terms of fitness and the diet on the night of the 24th, 25th, and 26th, but I'm probably going to have plenty of control during the rest of the day. And that's essentially my trade-off. I'm going to have some fun at the end of the night, But the rest of the day, I'm going to be true to the diet, true to my training, to the best of my abilities at the time. So this is my decision. Some people are maybe like, you know what? The 24th, 25th, 26th, I'm just going to do whatever. I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to eat. I'm going to drink. I'm not going to track about calories. I'm not going to worry about fitness. That's fine. This is your decision. Just realize that probably you're going to gain some weight. Probably not a ton, but there's going to be some of that as well. And of course, there is going to be some repercussions to this. So this is the very first point. And I think this is the most important one. So now I'm just going to give you some strategies how to deal with the holidays if you want to find that nice balance there. And the first thing is just plan ahead and prepare. You probably have an idea of where you're going to be going, where you're going to be spending your time. Are the gyms going to be opening if you're going back to, let's say, your hometown? What is the food that's going to be served? Like, unless you go to a vacation, like you decide to be traveling for Christmas or for the holidays in general, and you have no idea what to expect, okay, there's going to be a bit of guesswork involved. But for the most part, you know what to expect. You know where you're going to be. So plan ahead, prepare, have a general plan there, and don't try to wing it because it's usually going to go bad. So if you know that there's going to be a huge family gathering and there's going to be a lot of food, just be prepared for this. Like if you want to manage your calories, that's probably not going to happen during that big family gathering, but maybe you can do some fasting during the first part of the day, or maybe you can hit the gym during the first part of the day. If you're going to be somewhere in a rural area, there's not going to be a gym there. Maybe you can bring some bands. Maybe we can come up with a bodyweight workout for a couple of days. Just realize that there's going to be some limitations and anticipate what's going to happen, anticipate what you're going to be able to do and what you're not going to be able to do. Because some things are going to be out of your control. Like if you are, let's say, vegetarian and with your family and nobody eats meat, or maybe like none of your surrounding eats, let's say, animal products, well, it's going to be hard to hit your protein source. So maybe you prepare by bringing some protein with you. Maybe you can get some beef jerky, or if you want to go like non-meat, you can get some vegan protein powders. Just prepare for the situation and think about, like, spend maybe like 15 minutes. It doesn't take that much when you're packing your bags. If you're going to be leaving somewhere or just before the holiday, maybe you need to just go to a grocery store and get something a little bit more specific that's not going to be available to you where you are going. So that's the second point. Plan ahead and prepare. Anticipate that there's going to be some challenges. Now I'm going to break the next parts into talking about the diet and exercise. So when it comes to the diet, I think the biggest, or at least my favorite strategy, is just to create some buffers by strategically fasting or limiting food intake whenever you can. Say you have to be flying to a different state. Well, you know what? Airport food sucks. You don't have a lot of options, at least in most places. There are certainly exceptions. Airplane food is probably not going to be great. So if you're going to be traveling, if you're going to be driving, if you're going to be in a bus, train, it doesn't matter. You can probably fast and you're not going to be enjoying the best food ever. And you go into a place where you're going to have access to better food, or at least tastier food, may not necessarily be healthier. So strategically fasting when you just don't have good food options that don't comply with your diet or just don't taste that good. And again, going back to, let's say, the Christmas Eve dinner, or whenever you're with your family, friends, whenever you're going to be eating a lot of food, a lot of cooked food, a lot of food that you like, well, just earlier during the day, maybe you can just not eat. Maybe you can fast, or maybe you can just load up on a bunch of protein and limit your calories. So strategically switching between different caloric intakes, maybe fasting, maybe just lowering your calories, can go a long way, because it doesn't have to be a full day of eating a ton of food. It could be just a full night of eating a lot of food, which is still going to be just maybe like a couple of hours, maybe several hours, but it's not going to be 16 hours of eating. Then the next point is you can bring your own food. When I say food, it doesn't have to be a food item. It could be let's say, a specific supplement. So what I would normally bring with me is protein powder, if I can, or some kind of a protein source, especially if I know that I'm not going to have access to a good protein-rich meal. I also like to bring some supplements and minerals and vitamins, sometimes depending on where I am. So, for example, digestive enzymes are always something that I travel with, and I feel like they make a big difference in terms of digestion, how we're going to assimilate that food. You can also, if you have the option, you can prepare some diet-friendly options. So if you're going to be bringing some food, or if you're going to be hosting an event, why not maybe like bake a turkey, prepare a turkey or prepare a salad or something that's going to be rich in protein, something that's going to be healthier. If you can bring your own food, why not? You can bring something that's going to be a little bit more diet friendly, and you can eat food that you can at least have some idea of what's inside, what are the calories, does it have fiber, how much protein it has. So especially if you are somebody who's cooking, you have a lot of control. And that's a big thing. It's a really big thing. Like if you don't realize this, because when you're sitting on the table and there's so many different choices, there's nothing wrong with, enjoying yourself. But if you can put something on the table that's also going to be diet friendly, it's going to be your main protein source, for example, that's even better. And then the last point I want to make, I want to keep it rather simple in terms of the diet, is you can manage your food intake even if you have no quote unquote limits by adjusting the order of meals, or at least what you start with. So start with protein, double down on protein, double down on the salad. So if you have some veggies in there, some fruit. Essentially what I like to do, the rule that I have is if I'm even at a buffet, I'll go there if it's, let's say, morning breakfast. I'll go there, I would load a plate of my favorite fruits or whatever's available there. And I would just tell myself, you know what? If I'm super hungry, I would even have this rule where I have to eat a plate full of fruits. Or if I'm super hungry, that would be 2 plates of fruit. And then after this, I can eat whatever. And there's no limit to the portion. There's no limit to what I'm eating there, as long as I have some protein there as well. So same thing could be if it's a main meal, let's say evening meal, you just load up on a bunch of salad, then load up on a bunch of protein, let's say beef or whatever's there on the table. If you're vegetarian, you're going to load up on some vegetarian sources. And then after this, you can have whatever. The goal of this is to first off, fill yourself up with relatively healthy food. And then after this, there's no limit. And chances are, if you have a big portion of salad, big portion of protein, after this, you're probably not going to have a lot of space left for whatever. Of course, you can say that there's always space left for dessert, but it's probably not going to be as much as if you start with a lot of processed food, a lot of let's call it unhealthy, very food that you can easily overeat on. So if you start with those sources, then you can keep on eating more and more and more, especially if you're not eating foods that are highly satiating, like veggies, like protein, and certain types of carbs. So to summarize, diet-wise, you can use some strategic fasting or strategic spreading your calories across the days or the day itself. You can bring your own food, you can prepare your own food, and then you can double down on protein and salad and make sure that you're starting with healthier, more satiating options. You can also drink a lot of water. It's also going to help you stay full. And that's pretty much it. Again, keeping it simple. Exercise-wise, so there's a couple of things to consider. First off, do you even have the ability to train? So if you're going to be somewhere where there's not going to be no gym access, no option for you to train whatsoever, so no equipment, maybe you can plan ahead. And of course, you have to consider whether do you want to invest in even training. So if you have access to a gym, like, are you willing to go to the gym? And is the gym even open around the holidays? But that's going back to the planning thing. Can you even train, and do you want to train? And then if you are, then we can talk about some specific options. So first off, do you have gym access? If you have gym access, can you run your usual workout or something that's going to be similar enough? If this is the case, awesome. You can probably go to the gym, you can probably do a version of the workout that you are doing. And it doesn't have to be a full-blown workout. It could actually be just a couple of exercises. Maybe you can do the first half of the workout. And something that I like to do is around the holidays, it's kind of like treat myself, especially if I'm at a different place, let's say a different town, or maybe traveling at the time, is I would go to the gym and my only commitment is just hit the gym and do whatever you feel like doing that day. Just show up there and you feel like doing biceps, do biceps. You feel like doing some squats, do some squats. You feel like using some equipment that you've never used before, do that. Make it fun. It doesn't mean that you have to be super structured. Again, think of this as a spectrum. You can do your usual workout if you have the appropriate gym equipment, but you can just go there and do something completely random, something they're going to enjoy, and something that's going to be more in the holiday spirit. You want to be a little bit relaxed, probably enjoy the holidays. You don't want to be too rigid. Maybe do fun things. Go in the gym and do something that you haven't done before. Make it enjoyable. Now, what if you don't have gym access? The question is, again, like, do you feel like training? Do you feel like you want to do something there? Or you're like, well, I don't have gym access, I'm not going to train. totally fine as well. So if you don't have gym access, but gym equipment available, but you still want to train, let me know. And maybe we can come up with a bodyweight exercise. Maybe we can do some resistance training. You can, again, keep it simple. Again, you want to plan for this. And normally what I like to do with my workouts around the holidays, it's not going to happen in the evening. So maybe do it in the morning. Maybe you wake up, you have your morning coffee or whatever you do in the morning, and do, let's say, a set of push-ups, set of pull-ups, do some bodyweight exercises. And if you're not sure what to do, just text me. Let me know. Nikki, wait, man, give me some options in terms of what I can do when I'm traveling. And I can give you a very basic workout there. Do it in the morning, 15 minutes, boom, you're done. It doesn't have to be complicated. And then what if you don't feel like training? You don't feel like doing any exercise? You want to keep it relaxed? Is that an option, something you can do there? Well, walks, especially if you're somewhere where it's not crazy cold around the holidays. I mean, obviously it's going to be specific to your location, but just spend some time with your family, walk around. If you want to go do the groceries, if you want to do some shopping, hit the mall, just stay on your feet, just remain physically active. It's going to help burn some calories, especially if you're eating some extra food. You can put that food into good use. And something I forgot to mention about the gym training is the way I like to imagine this is, if I'm having extra food, I want to make sure that food is going to a good place, not going to my belly, it's going to my muscles. So I'm extra motivated to train harder and to train more frequently. So sometimes it could be my rest day, but I was still hit the gym because I know that I had plenty of food the previous night. I'm like, I'd rather direct those calories towards the muscle. So it's a good way of reframing things. And that's it. Exercise-wise, plan ahead. See if you have any access to a gym. Maybe do your structure workout. Maybe do something random, something fun. Maybe do some body weight stuff. Again, just make sure that you do it probably during the first part of the day. You don't want to leave it later on, especially if there's a family gathering. Or if you don't want to do anything, just walk, stay active. If you're at a tropical location, maybe you can go to the beach, swim a little bit, go to the pool, whatever you enjoy. And then the very last point I want to leave you off with is, don't, or at least try not to assume the scarcity mindset. So the way we like to think about the holidays is, oh, there's going to be the special meal that my grandma's going to make, or there's going to be the special Christmas dessert that's only once a year. It's only my only opportunity to enjoy this dessert, and that's it. In reality, yes, this is the case, but you want to reframe this that, all right, so it's only once a year, but you have Christmas every single year, and you're probably going to be enjoying the same things for the next 20, 30, 50 years. I mean, I'm not sure what the situation. If grandma's making this and she's 99 years old, okay, maybe this logic doesn't apply, but you get where I'm coming from. Indeed, it's a bit scarce. The option that you have available maybe is the special Christmas cake, whatever it happens to be. But it's every Christmas. It's not once in a lifetime opportunity. You're still going to have that opportunity. And maybe next Christmas, you're not going to be dieting. Maybe next Christmas, you're going to be bulking and you can even have double the portion and you can splurge on and go crazy because you're bulking. It's a completely different situation. So yes, it's a special time of the year, but it's special every year. It's not just this year. And maybe you can have that dessert, not just on Christmas, but maybe on some other holidays as well. And man, like sometimes you can ask grandma to prep something for you when you're coming back home, or maybe like next time when you're visiting. It doesn't have to be just once a year. And that's it. Keep it simple, relax, enjoy the holidays, find a balance that works for you, and don't worry, like you're probably not going to do any real damage.